Hi, my name is Juliana. I did my Nearpod on the applications of quadratic functions. So, similar to PowerPoint, I have a regular slide just talking about what the lesson is, which is applications of quadratic functions. And then for my first slide of content, I asked students to read an article, and I linked the article, and then I asked students to think about what are some other applications that aren't mentioned in the article of quadratic functions that you've noticed in everyday life. And are there any questions you have about quadratic functions after reading this article? And this feature right here with the link, again, we can do this on PowerPoint. However, the next slide I have right here, the collaborative board, which I added from this blue button up here with the add new. This is something I couldn't previously do on PowerPoint, and what I did is I had a class discussion and I asked those questions that I mentioned in these slides, and this allows students to respond again with examples of applications that they've seen in everyday life or any questions they have, and they can also see their peers' questions and examples as well. And then for my second slide of content, I had a YouTube video that students could watch, which again a PowerPoint could do. And after this video, students had another interactive activity that I added from Nearpod, which I added from this blue button up here once again, and it's a fill in the blank activity. What I did is I added sentences from this video and I took out certain words so students could fill in the blank and basically make sure that they're paying attention to the video and understanding what's going on, taking away main points from the video. And then for my third slide of content, I had students go to different links talking about standard form of a quadratic function, vertex form, and intercept form. And then after going to these links, they would fill out a table that they would copy on their paper. On these links that students click, they're able to explore these different forms. This is standard form, and they're able to just see what different parameters in standard form do to a quadratic function. And then after this activity, I added another interactive activity from Nearpod specifically, which is a poll that I added from this blue button up here once again, and I asked students what is their favorite form. After exploring all of them and seeing what different parameters do in these forms, which one is their favorite? And this also again makes the lesson more engaging because it's asking them what do they like? And after that, I moved on to an activity, and this activity is on Amplify, which is a platform that is not connected to Nearpod, but it is a great platform because Amplify allows teachers to see what students answer, as well as having many different activities students can do, such as matching cards or multiple choice or open-ended questions, which again I can add in Nearpod. Having them all devoted to one lesson in Amplify really helps, and again seeing all their different responses. And then for my activity 2, I once again had students go to a different platform, which is Desmos, and I said that they needed to basically find a picture of a real-life parabola and create different forms of this parabola. So standard form, vertex form, and intercept form, they have to create these forms themselves based off the parabola that they see in their picture. And then something I couldn't do before is have students upload this picture with the Draw It feature that I clicked from the Add New button right here. And finally, I had students complete an exit ticket, which was very nice because I clicked Add New once again. I made a quiz, and I had open-ended questions that students could answer. This is a picture of a question that I added for the exit ticket, and I just said answer the question in the following picture. And then I ended with telling students I hope they have a great day. And again, Nearpod just did a great job of adding many interactive features, and I would definitely use flipped instruction in my classroom because it makes learning more engaging. It's student-centered instead of teacher-centered, where students have the choice to explore on their own and also just go at their own pace, which makes it engaging, which is definitely more beneficial and helps students remember content more, which is definitely why I would use it in my own classroom.